had a great moment of just humanity this weekend.
Really?
Yeah. So one of the things my daughter got for her birthday was a Lego set, and this weekend she spent and she built it, and it was all done according to
Hopefully it
her.
was like the Millennium Falcon or something excellent like that.
Yeah, slightly related. I think it was more Trolls or Frozen 2 related, something like that. Anyway, so she's like, "Yeah, look, Daddy, I'm done." Like, she was so proud of herself, and I'm like, "Okay, that's great, sweetie. What about all those other pieces that are on the ground?" She goes, "Oh, those aren't important." She
Wow.
just like every other project in the world, the leftover pieces. Eh,
Yeah, that screw in that bolt
yeah,
probably wasn't necessary.
yeah.
She's not going to become a bridge builder, is she? Like an
Like, we didn't
Italian
need the
bridge builder.
struts.
Yeah.
So, unlike last week, we're kicking off a Monday morning with a bang, I would say, maybe.
Wow.
Two
Okay.
things. One is floating my own boat here is this digital direct thing that Microsoft, they didn't really, I don't remember them announcing this. Do you?
Explain what it is.
Exactly. So let's jump into
Yeah.
the time machine. Back in 2018, I wrote up like a huge list of like code names that Microsoft was working on, and one of them was called Roma. And what it was is that they could attach like Xbox Live Gold or Game Pass or digital games to your console before it got to you, so that when you opened it up, you logged in and then it just downloaded that stuff. Well, that feature is now available called Digital Direct, and it showed up with that Cyberpunk 2077 console. People were opening it up, and there was a little pamphlet in there that says, "Hey, Digital Direct, it's just going to download when the game's available. Whatever account logged in first, that's the one that gets it." And
I saw that image in the CMS this morning, and I had to look at it because I see a lot of, it's funny, like spammers will often include an image that indicates that they're
Yes.
spammers, which is just kind of stupid. 1-800 I'm a spammer, in a graphic. So I saw that and I was like, well, that's interesting, because I posted a bunch of stuff over the weekend, and there were two images kind of between that stuff and what I was going to do, and I was like, what's going on there? But yeah, I couldn't tell what it was, but it looked legitimate, so didn't delete it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So related to this, or maybe not related to this, but remember there was also a rumor that Microsoft was going to provide some kind of a disk to digital conversion.
Yep.
What have we ever heard anything about that?
No. So here's kind of my thoughts, or an interesting thought. I first wrote about Roma in 2018. It took 18 months for that to come to market. 18. So this disk to digital thing may not be dead. It just might be taking its sweet, sweet time to actually get there. So
Interesting. Okay. Yep. This came up recently. I think somebody, if it was an Ask Paul or an email or something, somebody asked me about this recently, and I'm like, I haven't heard about that in
yeah.
a long
Anyways.
time.
So there you go. That just kind of, in very typical Microsoft fashion, this is sort of a big deal, primarily because the Reddit thread.
I got blurry. Oh, there it goes. I moved and I confused it.
Here's the one down, maybe there's more than one, but at least one significant downside to this is, what if you buy a bundled console? Like Microsoft has one of them, has like 3 games or something or whatever. And if you already own that game, you're kind of screwed, at least it seems, because you can't take that little card that has the numbers on it and sell it to
You give
somebody.
it to someone else or sell it. Yeah. Yep. You're right. That might be why they're doing it, Brad. In fact, I'm hiding them now. I think in this bin here, but I used to have a bunch of crap up on top of this desk, and what it was the stuff when I went through my office and kind of cleaned it out. This stuff I want to get rid of, either sell or give away. And one of the things I have are these cards that have product codes on them for Xbox One games that are now a few years old at least. And I probably gave at least one to you back in the day because maybe there was some Disney things on there or whatever. I don't remember. But but those are kind of nice. Like you can just, you can give them away. You can, they're just one-time codes. They work great.
Yeah, I wonder if those are kind of one time and done now, because it would seem like my guess here, and I don't have the inside details. My guess is here that Microsoft knows a console coming down, and they know the serial number attached to it. That's how they were able to identify the Cyberpunk 2077. They said this batch of whatever consoles has this serial, and then they take that serial number, and on the back end in their big SQL database, they put the Cyberpunk, allotment to it. If that's all happening on the back end, then maybe this is like a cost-saving maneuver, because now Microsoft literally doesn't have to print those things anymore. They don't have to shove them in the box anymore. They don't have to do all that stuff.
So I guess the issue here now becomes who owns the game,
Well,
so,
we never own the game. Let's just kind of...
Well, I don't know. I mean, I to date, there has never been some notion of a game being associated with a console. Mm-hmm. This is something we're used to with like Windows with PCs, right? You get a license. It's, people think they own Windows, but I mean, really it's associated with this thing. They do give you the ability to transfer the license, et cetera. But, technically speaking, you buy a new PC from Dell or whatever. It's a very similar process. They can put stuff on it, in the factory based on what you order and so forth. And the license is, part of the PC. Mm-hmm. So let's say you buy one of these things and you have 3 games that come with it and they're tied to the console and you play them and you get.
Nope, they're tied to the first Microsoft account that logs.
Okay, that was my question. Okay,
so you got to be really careful with whatever you log in with, because that's the one that's getting them.
I got you. Okay, that was the question I had. Okay, good.
Yeah, so
that's fine.
I personally think this is going to be a good thing. Just I don't really ever sell that stuff, so it's just, hey, you just buy the console, you just log in, and then it just works. Like, you don't have to sit there and fumble like 7R Batman symbol trying to get that thing redeemed. But
yeah, I wish it was that easy. Yeah. Some of them they're like 25 letters and numbers, right? Which is, if you ever use an Xbox console to type in a code like that, a little tedious.
They did have, I'm sure they still have it. They had that QR code thing for a while too. I'm sure it's still there where you could scan it. And
they also had the little keyboard you could kind of clip onto the bottom of the. And actually, I suppose you could. I know you could plug in a USB keyboard. That would probably work. Or USB keyboard would probably work fine too. But
so there you go. Digital attach now available for select consoles or whatever. Maybe Microsoft will tell us more widely about it here in the near future. But
yeah, good.
So the other fun thing happening this morning is Brave just was too good to be true. Too good to be true.
Yeah. So I will say this. So what Brad is referring to is that Brave is a browser, built kind of on privacy. Not kind of, built on privacy. So it's a Chromium-based browser. They strip out all the Google stuff like Microsoft does. They put in ad blocking, which Microsoft doesn't do. Tracking, blocking, all that stuff. They're really aggressive. In fact, I would say, except for maybe the Tor browser, they're obviously the most private browser there is. And apparently they started quietly redirecting certain search links to use a referral code that they would get affiliate income from related to cryptocurrency. And, people found out and they were naturally upset about this. They stopped doing it immediately. They agreed it was stupid. It's a new company. They're trying to make money. Mm-hmm. The good news is if you use Brave or you are considering using Brave because of the privacy stuff, there are no privacy implications to this. Everyone using the browser sent the same ID to this. There's no privacy transmission whatsoever, so you don't have to worry about that. So it was dumb, and for a company this small, it might have been fatal. I guess we'll find out.
Yep.
I like the idea of Brave a lot.
Sure.
And I would probably use it. But the one piece to me that is a little tough is the mobile sync, or actually I just call it sync because it's really kind of tedious. You have to, from one instance of Brave, launch something that and on the other one do something. It's not a cloud hosted system that works like Microsoft or Google does. And I'm sure they do that for privacy reasons, by the way.
Yeah.
But it makes it a little tedious.
Yep. And just because I can. For those at home, I need to get the mouse still. You can kind of see what the desktop Paul is sitting at currently. Look at that.
Yeah, that's what I look at. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. I thought about writing about like what all the little things are, but you can't really see too well in that picture. But behind the green Xbox controller there is a kind of a squid-like USB thing, and it's just a power cable, and it has like 6 or whatever USB ports on it, and I charge a bunch of stuff through there.
I'm just more impressed that you look at a blue wallpaper all day.
Well, I don't usually. So first of all, it's darker looking than it looks in the picture. It's kind of a deep navy blue color, but you don't really look at the desktop. I mean, I just put it that way so you could
have a nice beach picture or even a picture of me. And you chose blue wallpaper. I don't know.
Well, okay, so the reason is I'm in front of a camera 5
Yep.
days a week, and different backgrounds have different emit
Yep.
light, and I chose this specifically because it's dark,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't. Right, so if you've ever seen like, or we could, if we're doing this show, or I do Windows Weekly, whatever, if I open like a browser window and there's a
Yep.
white screen, it lights up my face. So I specifically keep everything dark.
All right. The judges will accept that.
Okay, it's not because I don't love nature or people.
Paul is literally cutting down trees every hour he is not on a camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Just out there, old lumberjack Paul.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, which I thought this was already a thing, but I guess apparently not. But Apple is going to be doing interest-free hardware payments as long as you use their Apple Card, and then as long as you get their money that they issue from the company store, you can only take the company store at the company dollars. It's another nice little lock-in for Apple.
So the reason you think they were doing it is because they were doing it for iPhone.
Okay.
And I think iPhone, you could probably do it. It's probably 2 years. Yeah, it's probably 2 years interest-free through, but the thing people, look, this is an okay thing. I don't think it justifies getting an Apple Card, because literally the Apple Card is good for nothing unless you buy a lot of Apple products and you want to get, like gift cards, and now you can get zero interest. I have the predecessor to the Apple Card. I also have like a Samsung credit account or whatever. So when I buy a Samsung device, I use that. And when I buy an Apple device, I use the old Apple Card. That card is through Barclays. I would never use it for anything else but when I purchase from those companies with their credit or card or whatever, there's zero interest for some amount of time. And the reason I do that is because I usually am not going to pay the $1,000 or more or whatever it is for the new iPhone. I pay so much a month, and I pay extra, and I usually try to pay it off within 3 or 4 months or whatever. So like, this is not, we had this discussion about the Apple Card when it first came out. Like, if you know anything about credit cards and perks and cash back and all the things, like the Apple Card is not a good credit card.
No, it's not.
It's just not. And, everyone, you can have your own strategy for that. My wife and I happen to use 2 different credit cards for very specific things, because one of them is really good for like groceries and gas, and one's really good for travel and blah, 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 whatever. But the Apple Card is good for nothing. It's just,
It's good for
unless
buying
you were
Apple stuff.
Yes, and at that point, you need to make some life decisions.
Yeah, if you're buying that much, where I think you
you're
get
spending
3% back
$3,000
or something.
That's not even that good. It's not even that good.
It's better than nothing if you're buying like a new iPad every quarter. But
Here's what would be better: buy it at Costco with a Costco card.
yeah,
Literally get cash back. You walk out of there with cash.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. People want this thing because they love the Apple brand. Blah blah blah. It's fine. It's a cool looking card. I get it,
But the thing is Apple's trying to get rid of the card, if you remember, with their NFC payments that work in
they
most
want
places,
it to be digital,
but not all the places.
Yeah, they want it to be digital. Which, by the way, is fine. Actually, I support the whole modern banking thing. It's fine. There's nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not a particularly good perks card, or whatever you want to call that, or cashback card. Yeah, and the other thing is, and they're a company. Remember, Apple's not a charity. Obviously, during the pandemic, people are holding off on purchases, and so this is a way to kind of. It's like I'm not taking credit for this. Someone in the comments said this. It's like a reverse a reverse layover plan. People remember layover plans. You would put something on layover in a store, and you'd come in when you could and give them some money, and when you finally paid for it, they would give you the thing. You don't have to worry about that kind of supply demand thing anymore, but. In this case, this is so American. You just get the thing and you don't pay anything, and then you pay for it over time. And look, I'm sure the Susie Ormans of the world are freaking out over this, but whatever. We do what we got to do. So,
yep. Well, what you could do is tune back in tomorrow.
Yes.